For years, many men over the age of 50 have been told the same simple solution. If you feel tired, less sharp, or not quite like yourself anymore, just take zinc. 1 pill a day, sometimes 2, and over time everything is supposed to improve. But for a large number of men, it never really does. They stay consistent, they follow the instructions, they buy higher quality brands, yet weeks turn into months, and the results they were hoping for never arrive. Energy stays low, recovery feels slower, and that quiet frustration starts to build. The problem is not effort, and for most men it is not discipline. The problem is how the body changes with age. After 50, digestion is not the same system it once was. Stomach acid naturally declines. Enzyme production slows. The gut becomes less efficient at breaking down hard, isolated compounds. And that matters more than most people realize. Synthetic zinc tablets are dry, compressed, and chemically isolated. They rely on strong stomach acid to dissolve properly and release their minerals. When that acid is no longer available in sufficient amounts, the tablet often passes through the digestive system only partially broken down. In simple terms, the body never gets what the label promises. This is why many men can take zinc faithfully every night and still see little change. Not because zinc is unimportant, but because the delivery system no longer matches the body they have today. Aging does not mean the body stops using nutrients. It means the body becomes more selective about how it can receive them. When minerals are separated from food, stripped of fats, proteins, and enzymes, the digestive system struggles to recognize and process them efficiently. Instead of being absorbed and used, much of the mineral load is simply carried through and eliminated. This creates a misleading cycle. Men believe they are supporting their health, while in reality, very little is reaching their cells. Over time, this leads to disappointment and confusion. Why am I doing everything right but nothing is changing? The answer is not more pills. It is not higher doses. And it is not forcing the body to work harder than it already is. The real issue is alignment, aligning nutrient delivery with how the aging body actually functions. And once that shift is understood, the entire conversation around supplements, food, and vitality begins to change. Men who depended mostly on supplements showed little measurable change over time. Their circulation did not improve in a meaningful way. Hormone markers remained unstable, and the physical signs they hoped would return never fully did. But the group that focused on targeted natural foods experienced something very different. Their blood flow became more responsive. Their energy levels were more consistent. Hormone balance appeared steadier over time, and many reported stronger and more reliable morning responses as their bodies adapted. What made this especially notable was not just the direction of the change, but the scale of it. The improvements reported were not subtle. They were large enough to shift daily quality of life for many participants. The key difference was not effort or discipline. Both groups were trying to support their health. The difference was how nutrients entered the body. Natural foods delivered minerals, amino acids, and fats together, in combinations the digestive system still understood. Instead of forcing isolated compounds into a system that no longer handled them well, these foods worked with the body rather than against it. This helped explain why the same nutrient could produce such different outcomes depending on its source. The body did not respond better because the men were eating more. It responded because the nutrients arrived in a form that aligned with aging physiology. This observation marked a turning point in how many researchers began thinking about male health after 50. It suggested that the question was no longer which supplement to take, but how to deliver nutrients in a way the body could actually use. And that realization opened the door to a very different kind of solution. This is where the conversation shifts from what men are taking to how the body actually receives it. As men move through their 50s and beyond, the digestive system becomes more selective. This is not a failure of the body. It is an adaptation. Over time, the systems responsible for breaking down food and absorbing nutrients slow down and prioritize efficiency. The body begins to favor nutrients that arrive in familiar, complete forms. Isolated minerals and synthetic compounds ask the digestive system to work harder at a time when it is designed to conserve energy. Without the natural context of food, these nutrients often struggle to move from the gut into the bloodstream in meaningful amounts. Whole foods function differently. When minerals are consumed as part of a real food, they are surrounded by natural fats, proteins, and enzymes. This combination acts like a signal. It tells the body that what is arriving is usable, safe, and worth absorbing. Instead of forcing digestion, the process becomes cooperative. This is why the same nutrient can behave so differently depending on its source. In food, minerals are released gradually. They move through the digestive tract at a pace the body can manage. Fats slow absorption just enough to improve uptake. Proteins assist transport. Enzymes support breakdown. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is forced. This natural delivery system becomes increasingly important with age. The aging body is not designed for sudden spikes or heavy loads of isolated nutrients. It responds best to steady, balanced input. Whole foods provide exactly that. Rather than overwhelming the system, they support it quietly in the background. Nutrients are absorbed as needed. Excess is less likely. Stress on digestion is reduced. This also helps explain why many men feel better when they shift away from heavy supplementation and toward food-based strategies. The body no longer has to fight to extract what it needs. It receives nutrients in a format it has evolved to handle for thousands of years. This does not mean supplements are always useless, but it does mean they are no longer the first or best solution for everyone, especially after 50. Understanding this difference changes how men think about health support. It moves the focus away from chasing higher doses and toward choosing smarter sources. Once this principle is clear, the next step becomes obvious. The question is no longer whether food matters, but which foods work best and when the body is most ready to use them. And that is where the strategy begins to take shape. Once the idea of natural delivery becomes clear, the solution no longer feels complicated. It becomes focused. Rather than chasing dozens of supplements or forcing the body to adapt to isolated compounds, the approach shifts toward choosing a small number of foods that work with aging biology instead of against it. This is where 3 specific nuts enter the picture, not as a trend, not as a quick fix, but as a practical strategy built around how the male body functions after 50. Each of these nuts plays a different role. Together, they form a system. Cashews support the endocrine system. They provide minerals and amino acids in a form the body can still absorb efficiently, helping maintain hormone stability and support natural recovery processes. Walnuts focus on circulation. They nourish the pathways that carry oxygen, nutrients, and signals throughout the body. Healthy circulation is not just about the heart. It affects energy, focus, and how well the body responds overall. Pumpkin seeds support the prostate and bladder. These systems become increasingly important with age, especially when it comes to sleep quality and nighttime comfort. When these systems are supported, the body can rest more deeply and recover more effectively. What makes this combination unique is not any single nutrient. It is how the foods complement each other. Hormones do not function in isolation. They depend on circulation. Circulation depends on vessel health. Recovery depends on sleep, and sleep depends on how calm and balanced the body feels at night. These 3 foods address different parts of that cycle. Instead of pushing the body in one direction, they create balance. Instead of stimulating aggressively, they support gently. Instead of forcing change, they allow the body to respond naturally. This approach also removes pressure. There is no need for complex protocols or extreme routines. No dependence on medication or hormone therapy, just consistent support delivered in a form the body recognizes. Within this 3-part strategy, cashews take the 3rd position, but their role is far from minor. They are included for a very specific reason, and it has everything to do with how the male hormonal system changes after 50. Cashews provide zinc, magnesium, and arginine in a form that the aging body can still recognize and absorb efficiently. These nutrients are not isolated or stripped down. They are delivered together, surrounded by natural fats and proteins that support digestion and uptake. Zinc plays an important role in hormone regulation, but what matters most is not how much zinc is consumed. It is how much the body can actually use. When zinc arrives through food, it is absorbed more gradually and integrated more smoothly into normal biological processes. Magnesium supports relaxation and recovery. It helps calm the nervous system, supports muscle release, and plays a role in how hormones are regulated during sleep. As men age, magnesium deficiency becomes more common, not because intake always drops, but because absorption becomes less efficient. Arginine supports nitric oxide production, which influences how blood vessels relax and respond. This affects circulation throughout the body and supports overall responsiveness without overstimulation. Together, these nutrients support the balance between total hormones and free hormones. They help reduce excess binding activity in the bloodstream and allow more active hormone to remain available for normal function. This is a subtle process, not a sudden shift, and that is exactly why it works better for aging systems. Preparation matters. Cashews naturally contain phytic acid, which can interfere with mineral absorption. Soaking cashews in water for a short period helps reduce this compound and makes the nutrients more accessible. This step does not change the food, it simply makes it easier for the body to work with. Timing also matters. The evening is when the body transitions into repair mode. Hormone signaling changes, digestion slows, the nervous system begins to settle. Consuming cashews during this window allows their nutrients to be released gradually while the body is primed for recovery. This is not about stimulation, it is about support. Cashews do not force hormone production. They provide the materials the body needs to maintain balance naturally. Over time, this gentle support can make a meaningful difference in how the system feels and functions. And this sets the stage for the next piece of the strategy, which focuses not on hormones directly, but on the pathways that carry them where they need to go. This is where timing becomes just as important as the food itself. The body does not process nutrients the same way throughout the day. As evening approaches, the nervous system begins to slow down. Digestion becomes calmer. Hormonal signals shift away from activity and toward repair. This transition creates a unique window where certain nutrients are handled more efficiently. Cashews fit naturally into this window. Consuming them at night aligns their nutrient release with the body's internal repair cycle. During sleep, hormone regulation becomes more active. Muscles relax, tissues recover. Minerals are absorbed at a steadier pace without competing demands from physical or mental activity. This is why the same food can feel very different depending on when it is eaten. When cashews are consumed during the day, their nutrients are often diverted toward immediate energy needs. At night, those same nutrients are more likely to support recovery and balance. The recommended amount is modest. About 15 to 18 soaked cashews is enough to provide meaningful support without overwhelming digestion. The goal is not volume, it is consistency and alignment. For men who find solid foods heavy in the evening, cashew milk becomes a practical option. Blending soaked cashews into a smooth drink reduces digestive effort while preserving the same nutrient profile. Liquids are processed more easily at night, allowing minerals to move through the system without stress. This approach respects how the aging body works. Instead of forcing stimulation, it supports restoration. Instead of creating spikes, it provides a slow, steady release. This makes it easier for the endocrine system to maintain balance during the hours when it is most active behind the scenes. Sleep is when the body recalibrates. Hormone signals are adjusted. Inflammation is reduced. Recovery takes place quietly and gradually. Delivering supportive nutrients during this time enhances their usefulness without demanding extra effort from the system. This is not a shortcut. It is a rhythm. Over time, small, consistent actions performed at the right moment tend to create larger effects than aggressive interventions done at the wrong time. Cashews are not meant to replace sleep or override biology. They are meant to support it. And once this rhythm is established, the next step becomes clear. Supporting hormones is only part of the equation. The body also needs strong, clear pathways to carry those signals where they are needed most. Once hormonal support is in place, The next priority becomes movement. Not physical movement, but internal movement. The ability of blood to travel smoothly and efficiently through the body. This is where walnuts take the second position in the strategy. Walnuts are included not because they stimulate energy directly, but because they support the systems that deliver energy, oxygen, and signals throughout the body. Circulation is the network everything depends on. Hormones rely on it. Muscles rely on it. The brain relies on it. As men age, blood vessels naturally lose some of their flexibility. The inner lining becomes less responsive. Flow slows. This does not happen overnight, and it often goes unnoticed until fatigue, stiffness, or reduced responsiveness becomes part of daily life. Walnuts address this at a foundational level. They provide omega-3 fatty acids, which support vessel flexibility and help maintain a calm internal environment. They also contain arginine, a compound the body uses to support normal vessel relaxation. This combination helps circulation respond more smoothly rather than forcefully. Walnuts also deliver a concentrated supply of natural antioxidants. These compounds help protect blood vessels from everyday stress that builds over time. When oxidative pressure is reduced, vessels are better able to adapt and respond as needed. What makes walnuts especially valuable is how quickly the body can begin to respond when they are consumed consistently. Rather than requiring months of aggressive intervention, small daily amounts can support gradual improvements in how blood moves and how vessels behave. This is not about pushing circulation. It is about restoring flexibility. Better circulation does not mean faster or stronger. It means more responsive and more efficient. When blood moves with less resistance, the entire system operates with less effort. That change supports mental clarity, physical comfort, and overall stamina. It also enhances the effectiveness of everything else in the strategy. Hormonal signals travel more efficiently. Nutrients reach tissues more easily. Recovery becomes smoother. Walnuts do not act in isolation. They work in partnership with the hormonal support already in place. Cashews help provide the signals. Walnuts help deliver them. Together, they begin to rebuild the internal pathways that aging slowly erodes. And once circulation is supported, the final piece of the system becomes possible: deep, uninterrupted recovery during sleep. For walnuts to deliver their full benefit, how they are handled matters just as much as eating them. Walnuts are rich in delicate natural oils and antioxidants. These compounds are valuable, but they are also sensitive. Heat, air, and time can quietly reduce their effectiveness long before the food ever reaches the body. One of the most common mistakes is exposing walnuts to high temperatures. Roasting at intense heat can damage omega-3 fats and weaken antioxidant compounds. While the nut may still taste good, much of the nutritional value that supports circulation may already be lost. This is why gentle preparation is recommended. Soaking walnuts in water for several hours softens their structure and improves digestibility. It also helps reduce compounds that can interfere with mineral absorption. The result is a nut that is easier for the digestive system to process and more cooperative with the body. Another often overlooked detail is the thin outer skin of the walnut. Many people remove it because of its slightly bitter taste. However, this layer contains a concentrated supply of antioxidants. Keeping it intact preserves compounds that help protect blood vessels from everyday stress. Storage also plays an important role. Walnut oils oxidize quickly at room temperature, especially in warm environments. Storing walnuts in the refrigerator slows this process and helps maintain freshness. When the oils remain stable, the body can use them more effectively. Buying walnuts in the shell offers additional protection. The shell acts as a natural barrier against light and air, preserving the oils and nutrients inside. Once cracked, the nut is more vulnerable, which is why proper storage becomes essential. These steps are not about perfection, they are about respect for the food. When walnuts are treated carefully, they deliver nutrients in a form the body can recognize and use. Omega-3 fats remain intact. Antioxidants stay active. The compounds that support normal vessel function are preserved. This allows walnuts to support natural nitric oxide-related processes without forcing stimulation. Instead of spikes or sudden effects, the body receives steady, gentle support. In the context of the larger strategy, preparation ensures that walnuts fulfill their role. They keep the pathways open, they protect circulation, they help maintain flexibility where it matters most, and with circulation supported and hormones stabilized, the system is finally ready for the final element. The one that influences sleep quality, comfort, and overnight recovery more than anything else. With hormones supported and circulation flowing more smoothly, the final and most critical piece of the strategy comes into focus. This is where pumpkin seeds earn their position at the top of the list. As men age, the prostate and bladder become central to overall comfort and recovery. These systems influence how often sleep is interrupted, how deeply the body can rest, and how refreshed a man feels in the morning. When they are under constant strain, true recovery becomes difficult. Pumpkin seeds are included because they support these areas in a direct and balanced way. They contain natural compounds known as phytosterols. These compounds help regulate how certain hormones are processed in the body. Over time, this can support a calmer internal environment in tissues that tend to become more sensitive with age. This is not about blocking hormones or forcing changes. It is about maintaining balance. Pumpkin seeds also provide zinc in a form that is easier for the body to absorb when digestion has slowed. Zinc supports normal tissue maintenance and plays a role in how the body manages repair processes during rest. Magnesium is another key component. It supports muscle relaxation and nervous system calm. When magnesium levels are adequate, the bladder is better able to remain relaxed through the night. This reduces unnecessary signaling that can interrupt sleep. Tryptophan adds another layer of support. It is an amino acid the body uses in the natural production of sleep-related compounds. This helps the transition into deeper, more restorative sleep stages. Together, these elements work quietly in the background. They do not sedate. They do not stimulate. They support the conditions the body needs to rest without disruption. What makes pumpkin seeds especially valuable is how they connect multiple systems. Prostate comfort influences bladder behavior. Bladder behavior influences sleep quality. Sleep quality influences hormone regulation and recovery. Pumpkin seeds sit at the center of this cycle. When sleep becomes deeper and more continuous, the entire body benefits. Hormonal signals stabilize. Inflammation naturally decreases. Energy returns more steadily during the day. This is why pumpkin seeds are positioned as the foundation of nighttime support. They do not work alone. They complete the system. And once this final piece is in place, the strategy becomes whole. Not as a cure or a guarantee, but as a way to support the body as it was designed to function. The last step is understanding how and when to use them to align with the body's natural rhythm. When all the pieces are brought together, a simple pattern emerges. This approach is not about chasing dramatic change or forcing the body to behave like it did decades ago. It is about creating the right conditions and allowing the body to respond in its own time. Cashews support hormonal balance by delivering key nutrients in a form the aging body can still absorb. Walnuts strengthen circulation by keeping blood vessels flexible and responsive. Pumpkin seeds support prostate comfort, sleep quality, and nighttime recovery. Each food addresses a different system. Together, they work as one. This is what makes the strategy effective. Nothing is isolated. Hormones rely on circulation. Circulation relies on vessel health. Recovery relies on sleep. And sleep relies on internal calm. When these systems are supported together, the body does not need to be pushed. It begins to stabilize naturally. The most important lesson is not about the foods themselves. It is about consistency. Small amounts used regularly are more effective than large amounts used occasionally. The body responds to rhythm, not intensity. A small portion of each food in the evening creates a steady, predictable signal that the system can adapt to over time. This is why the routine is simple. It does not require hours in the kitchen or expensive products. It does not require pills, injections, or extreme protocols. It requires a few minutes each evening and the willingness to repeat the process. 5 minutes before bed becomes a signal to the body. a signal that it is time to slow down, repair, and reset. Over time, this nightly rhythm supports deeper sleep, calmer nights, and more consistent energy during the day. Not overnight and not as a guarantee, but as a gradual shift in how the body feels and functions. This approach is not presented as a medical treatment. It is a lifestyle strategy designed to support the body's natural processes as they change with age. Every individual is different, and results vary. Listening to your body and making thoughtful choices always matters. The larger message is this: aging does not mean giving up vitality. It means changing strategy, working with the body instead of against it, choosing inputs that align with how the system now functions. If this perspective resonates with you, consider trying the routine consistently for yourself. Start small, stay patient, pay attention to how your body responds. And if you found this video helpful, take a moment to support the channel. Like the video, share it with someone who might benefit, and subscribe for more content focused on practical science-based approaches to healthy aging. Most importantly, start tonight. Consistency is where change begins.